Hello guys, you're welcome to another edition of Inside Blockchain, a show that focuses on blockchain startups and the impact of the blockchain technology in Africa. And you're watching on Crypto TV Plus, the most trusted source on cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. My name is Tony Obiajuru. On the show today, we are going to be looking at how the blockchain technology will reform the real estate ecosystem. And I have with me Ambassador Gilead Okolonkw, who is the founder, the president, chairman of the Beepmagnet International Group. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
All right, so before we go straight into the topic, can you tell us a little about yourself? Who is Ambassador Killian?
That's quite an interesting question. Yes. Ambassador Gilead Okolonkw is actually the president of Beepmagnet International Group. I actually hail from Anambra State, and then precisely from Urumba North local government.
Oh.
We have actually been in the e-space for quite some time, and we have actually, created platforms and systems that would actually touch the lives of Africans, most especially, relating it to technology. My academic background is I actually read marketing, and then I've actually done a lot of other chartered programs, then taken other advanced courses on ICT, blockchain, and also even consultancy too. So I think that's the brief about myself.
Fantastic. Can you tell us quickly, how did you come about the blockchain space? When did you venture into this space?
Yes, because my quest for technology, it started with mobile payment. Because I've looked at what is happening in other parts of Africa, and as far back as in 2008, where we looked at in what way can we use technology to solve problems. First, I was intrigued with what M-Pesa was doing in Kenya, whereby here in Nigeria, we're not talking much about mobile money, but with your mobile phone, you should be able to actually make transactions. So at that point in time, my curiosity grew. And because I'm an individual who is driven with innovation, I looked at what is the problem that's affecting various sectors. And from there, based on what I actually understood about that particular environment, I decided to actually set up the first offline payment system that would solve the problem of thrift services in Nigeria. That came up because many people do what we call local thrift. And that local thrift that they do, at the end of the year, you always see that those who collected this money run away. So it was a problem.
Yeah, very big problem.
So, but when we created the first offline payment card, whereby individuals can actually save, and then the savings is actually on your offline card. But we linked that offline card with a MasterCard that at the end of you saving through that particular system, you don't need anybody to actually give you payment for what you have saved.
Yeah.
So all you need to do at the end of the period, there's a switch from the offline card into your card, and then you go to any ATM, and then you can actually withdraw. That was massive. And then it attracted a lot of customers, a lot of endorsement of that program in the East. But as time go by, we discover that technology evolves. At some point, that was close to about 6 years ago, I had a friend who actually spoke about the Bitcoin to me. But then because I was not too grounded about what was this all about, I did not take action then, but he kept on saying that this is actually the future. So from then, as the day go by, information, media reports, and I discovered that, look, there is more to these things that this person was saying. Though he was talking about Bitcoin, but when I went deeper, I discovered that there is an engine that actually governs this. And that's actually the blockchain.
Blockchain, fantastic.
So the question is, if blockchain is powering this, then it means that it can power other things. So the next question is, what problems can blockchain solve? So that was where we actually started. And then when we went deeper into the blockchain space, it opens our mind to so many things. On a summary, because I believe that blockchain itself is, I call it, is an open ledger that understands the principle of encryption and decryption, allowing transactions to pass through it, which means you can transfer from one block to the next. But the underlying principle there is that it is trustworthy, it is open,
very transparent.
It's transparent, and it cannot be hacked. These principles make me look at what can we do with regards to basic problems that we are experiencing. And that was where we started to actually look at how we can actually use this technology to actually solve various problems.
All right, now looking at how this technology can solve various problems, we are streamlining this to the real estate ecosystem.
Okay.
Now, I'm aware that most investors find it difficult. Let's say, for example, I'm an investor and I want to go into real estate. Okay, I find it very difficult to come about the funding, okay, to back up this particular project. How can the blockchain bridge this gap?
For one thing, many people actually look at the blockchain only from the speculative point of view, which I want to say no to, even though it played a role in the manifestation of the adoption or recognition of blockchain. And when we understand that speculation alone is not enough for the sustenance of blockchain, then we can see the positive nature of blockchain itself. Now, for one thing, the forces of demand and supply in economics plays a pivotal role in value creation.
Yeah.
And that's also exactly what blockchain will do. Now, in order for that to be possible, Beepmagnet Group have actually been able to solve this particular problem, like say no capital, how do I actually get in as an investor?
So in what way?
And that is why we actually introduced the BM coin token.
Okay.
So the BM coin token is actually a token that runs on the blockchain. And I think this is actually pretty one of the first of its kind.
Oh, that's great.
Because the idea was when token actually can solve real estate problem, we can actually find ways on how we can actually get them. So what have we done? We have been able to combine what we call consumer spending with actually getting of this particular token. Now, one of the problems that people actually have with regards to, taking advantage of blockchain is that they ask themselves, where can I actually start from? Where can I actually get the capital to start?
Exactly.
But what about if we actually say, why not participate in your normal day-to-day activity, and then in exchange you are rewarded with a token. And this particular token is actually accepted in exchange for digital assets like real estate. Is that difficult? It simply means that all you need to do is to keep spending your normal thing, your normal purchases, transportation, day-to-day activity, and then accumulate the BM token. And when you do that, we have platforms where you can actually use that to redeem the real estate assets. So the attraction is, we want to use this to attract real estate guys who are in the space that do not understand tokens and blockchain.
How to go about it.
So many of them may not be willing to accept. So we are saying, don't bother. All you need is to actually connect with us. So we have a subsidiary called the Beep Estate.
Okay.
So Beep Estate is actually a real estate firm that is focused on actually conversion of digital assets such as Bitcoin, BM token into real estate assets.
Okay.
So we are an intermediary. So for someone who has a real estate firm, all we are saying to you, talk to Beep Estate, and then we'll actually negotiate with the physical properties that you have. We are interfacing because we are creating awareness about tokens and digital assets. The point is that as long as these tokens are actually accepted through us, we would actually give this particular this real estate asset to the consumers. And then we create an exchange whereby this particular person who has the real estate asset actually gets what he wants, either in digital asset form or either into fiat.
Fantastic. Okay, now I'll need you to be a little more specific in terms of how I can identify with the Beepmagnet token. Let's say, for example, for someone that doesn't have an idea about this. Okay, so how can the person identify with the Beepmagnet?
It's actually very simple. What we have done is that we have created what we call a real estate package. Now, the real estate package is kind of more like a subscription. When you actually subscribe to that particular package, it gives you access to have a better understanding about the real estate space in terms of the education, in terms of the training, in terms of agency, in terms of what you need to know.
Okay.
But in addition to that, because you have actually subscribed to that package, the package comes with BM coin tokens.
More like a reward.
Exactly like a reward. So when you have that, that's one of the ways. Now, you can actually have that. But the unique thing about the BM token is that it's not just only on the real estate assets, or when you activate the subscription that you can actually get access to that. The point is that our platform is connecting merchants that cut across various industry. Individuals who are in transportation, individuals who are in aviation, individuals who are in, consumer products, laundry services. Now, these individuals are merchants that our platform is actually attracting. So the point is, as long as you can actually spend in any of these partners, you would always get a reward of the BM coin token. Okay. So that's one of the ways you can actually accumulate the token. Okay. Keep spending, you will get a reward. And that reward, come and exchange it for real estate asset.
Exactly. If you're just joining us, you're watching Inside Blockchain on Crypto TV Plus. My guest, Ambassador Gilead Okolonkw, and I are talking about how the blockchain technology can reform the real estate ecosystem. So, sir, let's continue. Now, I am aware that real investors have these challenges with Omoniles.
That's a huge problem.
Exactly. So, what is the role that Beepmagnet is playing, to curb this?
I would actually rephrase that, possibly because it's actually a scope beyond Beepmagnet.
Okay.
So we would actually rephrase that to actually say, what would blockchain do to actually solve that problem? For one thing, earlier in my introduction, I made mention that the blockchain is all about an open ledger. I also said that it is encrypted, is a principle that runs on encryption and decryption. Now, we have looked at each of these particular requirements or fulfillment for you to own real estate asset. There is always a human interface, and the human nature always coming, which means self. How do I actually, this is a process that has been put in place by the government, but beyond the government, how can I benefit myself? From it. So that's why you see individuals who are the moneyless. They come on board, they want to get something from that.
Everybody wants to get
something from it. But now, because blockchain is a technology that follows an algorithm, and the algorithm cannot be changed when it's actually kick-started, yes, when it's implemented. So, to check the activities of a moneyless, we are saying that this is the time for the government to look at revolutionizing the real estate sector in Nigeria, which of course would bring into cognizance of the land registry. So what that simply means is that most of the processes that we have that is running on a traditional scale, all that is needed is to actually design or move these particular traditional records or processes into the blockchain. So where you have Omonile, there is a provision on the blockchain that would actually take care of that. But it will not be talking about the physical Omonile, because a physical or a human Omonile can sleep and wake up and change the way he does his Omonile business or attitude. But if it is on the blockchain, that is to say every single aspect of what should be paid should actually be defined in an algorithm on the blockchain, then we have solved that problem. Okay. So that means that if I want to actually make payment from the point whereby the land is actually purchased and where the land is actually given out, or you are going to take ownership of it, each of these processes are already enshrined on the blockchain. So as these processes pass through these stages, then nobody comes to interfere. At that point in time, you are not even communicating with somebody, because you can publicly verify where that transaction is. Take, for example, if there is a land somewhere in Aja, and the government actually look at all the land that we have or asset that we have are now recorded on the blockchain. And each of these particular blockchain have a unique transaction ID, which can actually be verified on the blockchain anywhere in the world. When that land is actually sold, who is the new title owner of that particular listing have a unique blockchain ID to it. What it simply means is that if I want to do a verification of that particular land, I just key into that ID number on the blockchain, and I can see the real owner of that. So you cannot come to tell me that this land was sold to this particular person, or this person is actually buying that. That is one of the use cases that the blockchain can do. Because in order for us to understand this, is to look at transactions that is run through Bitcoin. You agree with me that when you send a Bitcoin transaction and you have confirmation of that transaction, and then you go to the blockchain to check if that particular transaction was delivered, and you see it delivered, can it be altered?
No, it can't.
It can be altered.
Yeah.
That's a clear scenario of what can happen on the blockchain. So each of these titles are going to be, passed through the blockchain, and with smart contracts, this can actually help this particular, various aspects to be pitched together for it to actually run on it.
Okay, now looking at the lack of competent builders and unsophisticated building materials, or materials that are not of standard, we are having issues of buildings collapsing, mounds or series of mounds after it has been built. So how can the blockchain technology trace this, okay, or be in a position to provide solutions to this?
I was in Dubai for a conference, and I met an organization that it's called BCOT. They call them Blockchain of Things. The concept was building blockchain technology in the second layer of the blockchain.
Okay.
So what that means is that they are using the current infrastructure that Bitcoin has provided to actually transmit transactions as fast as possible. Currently now, there's a limited number of characters that can be transmitted through the Bitcoin blockchain. So that means it's limited. But can you imagine if you are able to transmit maybe 18 to 21 characters in terms of those numbers that you get as your transaction ID? What about if you are able to transmit a full video or transmit a full graphical design of a real estate project?
Yeah.
Now, the idea is we cannot rule out the fact that there need to be confirmation of standards. And that is where, because sometimes we do not have the real life detail of those graphical transactions, it becomes a problem. So what we are saying is that we can avert that when we have associations and body that do verification of these particular buildings that is inscribed on the blockchain. So it means that for every design or for every building to actually be put in place, it must pass through the blockchain verification. That means the architectural work is actually subjected to pass through that design. Now, when it passed through that, the association or the body can actually look at that particular design and make their remark on the blockchain. Now, when that endorsement is done on the blockchain, it is verified and it is certified. In that case, it's going to avert this particular building's falling. What we see is that some people know that this particular building is not of standard, because you know that man and you give him some more money, and then it says, okay, approved. And they now build. And over the years, that particular building starts having problem. But when this particular verification and approval passes through the blockchain, which means that every design goes through it. It means when it goes through it, it cannot be altered.
And it's visible.
It's visible. So even if you are the one that is the verification officer that have given your own endorsement, any other person can actually look through that particular stuff to actually give his rating. So we might have like 2 layers of verification. Verification A, verification B, verification C. So whatever you do, somebody confirms. So with such kind of 3-tier confirmation, then I think that is going to cut that particular issue.
All right. We've been talking about how the blockchain technology can reform the real estate ecosystem in Africa. Let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to be looking at taxation, which is one very big issue in the real estate sector. So stay with us.
Hi, this is Cynthia Petian with AWS Mining.
I'm Alexia Hefty-Rossier.
I'm Anand Mohan from Technobrain.
This is Anu Bardwaj from Women Investing, Women Digital.
And you are watching...
You're watching
Crypto
TV Plus.
Crypto TV Plus.
Crypto TV Plus.
Crypto TV Plus. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Just before the break, my guest, Ambassador Gilead, and I were talking about how the blockchain technology can reform the real estate ecosystem in Africa. Right now, we are going to be looking at taxation, which is one very big issue in this same sector. So, sir, now I'm going to read out something to you. Real estate investors are subjected to multiple taxations. Now, we are looking at taxes, development levy, we are looking at income tax, we're looking at property tax, we're looking at building plan approval tax, and land use charge, or say tax. This is a whole lot of tax for an investor. So what is the blockchain doing to curb this, or probably reduce, this amount or enormous taxation?
The truth of the matter is that when you talk about management of things on a traditional scale, the cost is overwhelming.
Very.
Now, if you look at the land registry, a lot of human resources is required for that to be possible. In Dubai, considering what they were actually doing there, considering their real estate development there, they spend so much money to do paperwork documentation.
Yeah.
And then not only documentation, but preservation. Now, blockchain can still solve this. And when transactions actually is cut short, and this particular thing can actually be, shrinked into a simple process, then the government can actually look at how they can actually, solve this problem. Now, take note. The government also understands that, some of these funds don't really get to them. So that is why they put checks and balances, at the end of the day, to be able to get something at the end of the day. We also know that some of this particular taxation pass through different sources because of the mode of payment of this particular taxation. Like I said, the government can actually solve this problem by actually putting all these land acts on the blockchain space. It's a process that needs to start. Dubai government have started that process, migrating all their land documentation on the blockchain. So what that means is that nobody can actually come to influence this. And the government can actually look at the precise revenue that is going to come, and they look for that it cannot be changed. But whereby the government is not certain about what is going to come because of the process of collection, then it becomes a challenge. So we are saying that what the government need to actually call this is to look at what is this level of taxation that they want to actually, the individuals to actually pay. And then fix this particular process on the blockchain. So if you're talking about Land Use Act, if you're talking about this, it can be summed up. And then say this is the bill that you're actually going to pay. When the user or anybody who is interested in real estate understand that, look, I'm not going to be, taxed double taxation, then it will not be difficult for me to actually make payment. The problem is I've paid for a particular land and they said that that was not on the record.
Oh, exactly.
Then I have to come and pay again. Or we tell that this receipt that is not in the...
It's invalid.
Is invalid. It's another person's receipt. That is the problem. It's not as if individuals who wants to own real estate assets are, trying to avert paying tax. But the problem is the double taxation that is actually connected with it. So for the government to help out is to see to it that our Land Use Act, our land registry system is actually moved into the blockchain space. That can be verified at every point in time. Yeah. And I think with that, it's going to help everyone that's actually playing in that particular space.
That's fantastic. You can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at Crypto TV Plus. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So before we bring this session to a close, what role or what system is the Beepmagnet International putting in place, all right, to drive issues like this?
Simply put, because when we talk about blockchain, what we want to come to the minds of listeners is the BM coin token. It's a token that the world should watch out for, because that token would actually be convertible. It's actually one of the first to be able to convert that token into real estate asset. In fact, currently as we speak, you can actually convert the BM token for land in Ogun State, in Victoria Island, and then even for a studio apartment at the Oshona, which is going to be one of the hotels, the iconic hotel that's going to be built in Nigeria.
So we can say this is where we are with this particular project?
Yes, exactly. Wow. So that is that practical. But now the question is how do you get it? All we are saying is you need to look out for strategic partners of Beepmagnet Group that is actually accepting or giving out this token as a bonus. All we are saying is keep spending at this partner location and keep amassing the BM coin token. When you have it, there's a whole lot that you can actually do with that. When you have the required unit, come and then get a real estate asset. You don't really feel it. It's not as expensive as you think.
Yeah.
When you have it, you can even use that to get a healthcare cover to the tune of over 500,000. When you have it for women, you can also use that particular token to get your monthlies. We are releasing a product by next month, which is going to be called the CC box. It's a box that every woman needs, you know, that takes care of your monthly flow, your menstruation. There's something unique about that period. One, ladies are very, very, you know, secretive when it happens.
Yeah, very true.
They don't want the next person to know that it's happening. But there's something more. The waste that comes from that pad, you cannot actually put it in the sink, in the toilet, because it cannot flush.
Yeah.
So we are saying that we have designed a solution that comes with a box. You don't need to worry yourself. Just 2 drops. When you drop it in the skin, it shreds it into tissue, and then you can flush.
Wow.
So the idea is, how do you actually get that? You can also get that with actually the BM coin token. So the BM token is the first decentralized token that is running on the blockchain. And we are saying that for the very first time, while we are spending effortlessly, you are getting this particular token that you can actually use to exchange various assets, one of which is real estate.
Wow. Just as you've heard from my guest, Ambassador Gilead, you need to look out for the BM token. As you've heard, it has the potential to provide more solutions to the problems that we've been talking about on the show. We've come to the end of the show. My name is Tony Obiajer. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms at Crypto TV Plus. You can also visit our website at www.cryptotvplus.com for more news updates, interviews, analysis, and crypto events. Watch out for the next session of the enterprise components of the blockchain technology with focus on real estate, as we've just discussed on this show, discount services, and exchange. It's a bye for now.